TupiTubers! I'm Julie, your animation buddy here on the TupiTube channel.
Before we start, thank you very much for your comments.
TupiTubers, in this session we'll pick up our animation practices by taking on a new challenge based on the experience we've gained in previous sessions. Remember when we started by animating a point and then a line? Well, this time we'll simulate the movement of simple geometric shapes. That's right, for the first time we'll animate elements that have area or surface. Specifically, we'll animate a triangle and a rectangle. Join me for this practice and I'll walk you through all the details.
For our first exercise, we're going to animate a paper airplane gliding through the sky. In our imagination, it'll be a real airplane, but in reality, it'll be a triangle that we'll try to shape as if it's made of paper, moving through the air. In fact, this will be our main goal for this practice, to use all the principles and techniques we've learned in previous exercises to simulate the behavior of certain materials as they move through space. Let's get started! As it's customary in all our sessions, let's start by opening the TupiTube app and setting up a new project. For this exercise, we'll use a light blue background to simulate the sky. I'll choose a shade of gray for the outline color and the light yellow for the fill. For the line thickness, we'll set a value of 8 in the brush panel. Once again, we'll activate the auxiliary grid to serve as a guide when making our strokes. Next, we need to visualize the path our little paper airplane will take. In my case, the route will include a full loop, an ascent and then a gentle descent until it exits the canvas, as you can see on my screen. Given this path, it's important to note that the plane will move at different speeds along its journey, meaning we'll need to apply the concepts of acceleration and deceleration that we covered in session number 5. If you haven't studied that session yet, I'll leave the link here and in the video description. Alright, now it's time to draw the keyframes that will define not only the path of our airplane but also its behavior as it changes speed along its journey. And what do I mean by that? The plane will change shape, flattening slightly when it reaches high speeds and then returning to its original form when it slows down. Since it's a triangle, we'll only need to focus on 3 lines, which is what makes this exercise interesting. Although the structure of the object we're animating is simple, designing its movement to feel smooth and realistic is quite a challenge. For this exercise, you can draw the shapes directly if you have a digital pen, or if you prefer, use the triangle tool. In my case, I'll be using the line tool and the node editor to make adjustments since I'm working with a regular mouse. As you can see, my first keyframe is positioned outside the canvas to make the airplane appear from the left side of the scene at the beginning of the animation. For the following frames, pay close attention to how the plane flattens and elongates. At these points, it will have reached its maximum speed. On the other hand, at the highest points of the loop and the following ascent, notice how the plane returns to its original shape. To finish, I included a keyframe just outside the right edge of the canvas as a guide for when the plane exits the scene. Another detail to keep in mind is how the structure of the airplane adjusts to the varying curve levels along its path. In some frames, it'll bend a lot, in others, not as much. This behavior will help create the illusion that our airplane is made of paper, as it will appear to bend when it encounters the wind. Now, what happens if we don't align our plane to the curves in its path? The answer is simple: the movement won't look natural. In fact, it'll seem as if it's made of wood or metal, and that's not what we want. It's time to add the in-between frames. Since we already know the segments of the path where the speed of our little airplane changes, the task becomes a bit simpler. As we saw in previous sections, in the sections where the speed decreases, we'll need to add more frames, while in the section where the speed increases, only a few frames are needed. Of course, it is through constant practice with exercises like these ones that we'll gain the experience and skill to decide exactly where to add those in between frames. Don't forget to check the progress of your animation in the player to spot any segments that may need adjustments. And keep in mind that for this exercise we'll be using an FPS of 12. Remember that the Enter key allows you to switch between the animation editor and the player tabs in either direction and as often as needed. As you've probably noticed throughout our practices, the process of illustrating and reviewing progress in the player is essential for achieving a smooth, natural, and convincing result. Alright, we've finished our first exercise. Let's take a look at the final result. What do you think? Does the airplane look like it's made of paper? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. In the meantime, I'll save my project under the name Avioncito, and as usual, I'll share it with our community of users from the Publish menu. I hope by now you've learned the process for sharing your animation exercises whenever you wish. Continuing with our second practice, we're going to animate a magic carpet. Do you remember Aladdin's carpet? Something like that. In our case, the carpet will move across the canvas, performing spins from left to right. And while the challenge may sound a bit complicated, what we're actually going to do is bring a rectangle to life. Yes, you've heard that right. In the previous exercise, we worked with an object made up of 3 lines, a triangle. This time, we've increased the difficulty to 4 sides, which we can deform at will, depending on the positions we want to illustrate in each frame. But let's start from the beginning by creating a new project in the TupiTube app. This time, I'll choose a lighter in shade for the background color, and for the fill, a not too bright red. For the line thickness, we'll continue working with a value of 6. Alright, we're ready to start animating. Guess what our next step is? That's right! Just like in the first practice and with the help of our imagination, we'll need to define the path our rectangle is going to follow. Sorry, I meant our magic carpet. In my case, my character will appear from the left side of the canvas, perform 2 small jumps in a row, and finish with 1 big leap to disappear off the screen through the right edge. The next step is to draw the keyframes for our animation. It's important to know that the biggest challenge in this exercise lies in simulating the material of our character, which in this case is some sort of fabric. In other words, our carpet is alive, but at the same time it's made of a material that allows it to fold and curve to perform all the movements we can imagine. That's why I'm going to bend some of the sides of the rectangle to make the corners sharper, simulating the ends of the carpet. This way, my character will gain a lot of personality. I know it's not an easy challenge, but let's give it a try! I begin by drawing the first keyframe outside the workspace area, so that my carpet appears from the left edge of the scene. Then I add the positions that will define the path my character will follow. I would say this path is much simpler than the one from the first exercise, but the key to achieving a good result will be in the way we shape our carpet in its different positions. For example, when it touches the bottom edge of the canvas, which in this case represents the ground. To simulate the force of gravity, I'll bend the character every time it touches the floor to give it a new jump. This way, I'll highlight that the material of my rectangle is very flexible and resembles the fabric of a carpet. As you can see, for this practice I only needed 8 keyframes. given the relative simplicity of the path. Now it's time to add the in-between frames. To do this, I need to consider in which segments the curve speeds up and in which ones it slows down or come to a complete stop, which in this particular case are the peaks of the curves and the points where my character lands on the ground. It's at these points where I'll need to add more in-between frames. Once again, remember to check your progress from the Player tab. This way you can spot any mistakes and make adjustments. Of course, the more you practice, the fewer corrections you'll need to make in the long run. But for now, we shall make it a habit, as it will help us improve as animators. Great! We finished our second exercise. Let's take a look at the final result. How does it look? What do you think of the character's texture? Does it seem convincing? I liked it, so I'm going to share it in our community page. But first, it's time to save my exercise. I'll call it Magic Carpet. Done! Now let's share it. Great! We finished our second exercise.
TupiTubers, we've reached the end of this session, making new progress in our journey as animation students. If you take a close look, we've taken a giant step by moving from animating a line to animating a figure with surface. Keep in mind that now we can assign textures and much more complex behaviors to our characters, giving them personality even if they're basic objects. It's worth emphasizing that it's crucial to repeat all these exercises over and over again, making all the variations you can think of. You can change the trajectory or behavior of the figure and create countless variations of the same exercise. If you end up publishing any of your practices in our community, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the end of this content. If you liked it and want to support my work, give the video a like and share our channel with all your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with our new posts. See you in the next video, TupiTubers! Stay tuned!